As Jesus entered Jerusalem for what we call Holy Week, or for the Passion Week, he stayed in Bethany, and the Gospels tell us that he was anointed for his burial. I'll read from Mark's account. It says that during the feast, Jesus came to Jerusalem, and while he was in Bethany, this is Mark 14, verse 3, he was in the house of Simon the leper. This is on the east side of Jerusalem, just over the hill where Jesus often stayed. As he sat at meat, there came a woman having an alabaster cruse of ointment of pure nard, which was very costly, and she broke it and poured it over his head. There was some indignation among Jesus' followers because some thought that the ointment could have been sold and the money might have been used for some other purposes. There's a couple of variations on this story, but one thing that's important is to appreciate that the alabaster itself, as well as the oil, was very valuable, and to break it was all the more significant. Jesus came into Jerusalem on what we call Palm Sunday, that day when he was received as the Messiah, as the King of Israel, the Son of David. But it turns out that this woman, Jesus understood, was recognizing that this week was going to end with his death and not with some grand celebration of recognition. Now, if you think about alabaster, you ought to think Egypt, because this is where it comes from. And alabaster starts out extremely heavy, and it requires a lot of work, as you see these guys doing. There's chipping, there's filing. He's doing the filing after he's actually already done a nice hole in the middle of the alabaster to make a vase. Yeah. Shukran. Nowadays, you can buy alabaster. It stays pretty heavy if you have it machine made. When you think about the costliness of the perfume or the oils, you need to also reckon with the costliness of the alabaster itself. Alabaster comes from Egypt, and there's this long-standing tradition for millennia of making alabaster jars in Egypt. The cheap ones that are made today are still quite heavy, and they're made by machine. But the ones that are made by this process, by hand, could take a week just to make a vessel like this that's extremely light and actually fragile. If you put water in it, the water will be absorbed into the porous material, but this was especially conducive for the essential oils that were used in worship in ancient Israel. A lot of the temple drawings show both offerings that have wicks showing that they could be lighting the oil, and other ones were offerings of grain, for example. The oils have sometimes actually been preserved even to this date. So in King Tut's tomb, they found some of these kind of jars that had oils in them. Essential oils were part of Israel's worship as well. And so you think about what this woman's doing. She's not just showing honor for Jesus, and she's not just weeping over the upcoming death, but there is a sense that this woman is actually offering the most expensive thing she may have had as a form of worship, and used something that would have been often associated with the temple and temples in Egypt with funerary rites. So here's Jesus preparing to enter into that world of the afterlife, but in this case, Jesus is going to come back with his earthly body and present himself as the first fruits from among the dead. And this woman, probably way more than she fully understood, was anticipating that with this offering that she made with the alabaster jar.